Hello everyone, it's me Annie, and today I'm going to be teaching you on how to use keyframes and in-betweens in making hand-drawn animation. So first we're just going to name the project and select frames per second. I usually prefer 14 frames per second. And when you're making the background, I suggest just using a blank white color so that when you make the sketch for the animation, it's gonna be a little bit clearer, because sometimes you just have to get the animation right before actually adding it to a background. That will help you save a lot of time if you get confused. So now we are just going to be adding 2 keyframes. We're going to make a character turn their head towards the camera. So it's gonna just going to be looking down with their eyes closed, and we're going to make it turn around. So let me just speed this up for a sec. Alright, now we're going to be drawing the second keyframe, and like I said before, we're going to be making the character turn their head towards the camera. Okay, so now we have both keyframes and we have a general idea of what the animation will look like. So when you're making the animations and we have the keyframes, first what you're going to do is you're going to make a frame between these 2 keyframes, and first we would need to use the onion skin feature. Now it's a little bit easier when you have both the frames before and the frames after, because what you want to do is you're going to actually be making the sketch where they just go in between. I don't know how to explain this, so just watch it. So now we have 3 frames that show what the animation is going to be like. At the moment it does look choppy, but that's simply because we only have 3 frames in the animation. If you were to want to make it smoother, then what you want to do is that you can use the new frame that you put in the middle and make it act as another keyframe with the with the first and the new frame. Basically just the same technique, just making multiple in-betweens. So here we're going to add another frame, and we're going to use the same technique that we did earlier. The animation now looks a little bit smoother with the new added in-between frames, and this technique is often used by animators when they want to make movement in their animation. It's very recommended when you try to make animations. You gotta make sure that you have the keyframes right, and you will often see people using keyframes in their animatics or storyboards to keep a general idea of what the animation is going to be like. If you just simply start off with the first frame is looking up and then add another frame slightly changing, then you might accidentally make it look a little bit less proportional, if that makes sense. The anatomy might change a little bit if you don't use the sketching for the basic shapes such as the head or the shoulders. But this character in this animation is simply just turning their head and a little bit of the shoulder to show that they're turning to face the camera. Now I didn't add the eyes earlier simply because I thought that it would make it a little bit hard to get the details correctly, because I often think that if you were to make animations, make sure that you start off simple with the whole body first. Don't add the details straight away. And this is why I often actually just I often animate the sketch of the body first before adding details such as hair or clothing, and then that will probably be in another video that I'll make. But for now, we're just going to be focusing on the animation keyframes and in-betweens. Okay, so now I'm going to copy and paste the first and the last frame so that the animation look like a character was minding their own business and then they suddenly look towards the camera. Now, when you're animating a creature that is organic and a living one, you're going to have to make a frame where they kind of bounce their body back to previous frame, and that's usually something that happens to living organic beings. And I see that a lot of beginner animators don't add this. They don't realize that is a thing that naturally happens to living creatures. So keep in mind that you have to make a frame where it looks like they're bouncing back. If you want, you can either use the second last frame as the frame that you used to make it bounce back, or you could just make an in-between between the last and the second last. I usually prefer just making another in-between because I think it makes it look a little bit more natural and not too rushed. The animation now looks a little bit more natural with the body bouncing back, and if you want, you can actually just erase the guidelines. I don't often use guidelines when making animations, though it is recommended just so that you know where to place the faces and the features and all that stuff. And once you have the full sketch of the full animation in the sketch form finished, you could try making the outline so that it looks a little bit more cleaner. thank you guys for watching this tutorial. If you want me to make more of this, hopefully it will be better quality, please let me know in the comment section below. Thank you.